Hello, this is John Rust with Cribl. I'm here today to talk about missing logs. So it's a common problem with logging teams that suddenly a source or a host or a particular event type stops recording in your system. Cribl actually gives you some tools to handle this right out of the box. So if you go into a source and click on the notifications option here, you can add notifications that indicate low volume or no data received at all. And you can customize what those notifications are. So it could go just default to log in the system messages. You can hit a webhook endpoint. You can send email, whatever it is you need to do. However, you'll notice that that notification is for the whole source. So anything that's coming into this source is considered. So if there's 10,000 hosts sending and one host stops sending, you're not going to see that because the overall source is still very active. So what I used to do in this situation would be to use a search tool, my analysis tier, to search for logs. And I do something like, hi, this is John Rust with Cribl. We're here today to talk about missing logs. So Cribl gives you some tooling here to handle missing logs on your own. It's under, if you go into a source, go into notifications, you can add a notification based on, high data, low data, or no data, or even, Q start using these other options. And that notification can go into the system messages itself within the system itself, or you can send those off using a webhook. You can customize your target, send email, whatever it is you want. The limitation here is that these notifications are for that entire source. You'll notice there's no filtering on those qualifications. So if you have 10,000 hosts sending to this source, this endpoint, and one stops sending, you're not going to see that because the source overall is still active. The way I've dealt with this in the past, before the days of Cribl, was to use my search tool and run a crazy search to look for and aggregate all the data um, over a time period. So this is reaching back an hour. When was my last seen time by host? How many events did it send? That's not great though, because really I want to know, what if that host disappeared more than an hour ago? So now I need to increase my time window, and that's going to start to run for a very long time and using up a lot of resources. And we've already seen the data go through. Why do we want to research that data? So then that graduates to, okay, instead of looking back 6 hours in one shot, let's look back 1 minute, and then we'll schedule this to run every minute, and we'll store the results back into the system. So I can do that with Cribl Search by exporting to a data set. So I could export this data that's reporting down here as JSON back into the data set. Now, over time, I've collected up just these last seen times, a very small amount of data, and it's easy to search, and that big search will be easier. However, I'm still having to run a search every minute and use up resources and crawl through the data that I've already seen. Seems like there's a better way to do this. And there is, because we can use Cribl Stream with Cribl Search to do this much cleaner. So let's go into our processing, go to pipelines. I've created this pipeline called Cribl Event Age. I actually have this included in the pack that I'm going to show you in a moment. So I just imported this data. What we do first is try to we want to preserve the log type. So log type is the type of event we're talking about. Some things will call it event type. Some people call it source type. For my case, I'm calling it log type. Call it whatever you want. I highly recommend you qualify your data. Give your data a label as soon as you can in the system. So we're using that label to, first we want to save that label off, because when we aggregate, we're going to aggregate our logs in flight, giving us a count of events and the last time we saw them. So the max of the epoch time underscore time field. And we're going to group that by host and original log type. And the reason why we're saving off original log type is because I want to give the new log type of this aggregated data. I want to call it last scenes, so that I can find it quickly and easily in my my search tool. So now that I've got this pipeline set up, I need a route. So I've got a route right up here at the top, the first action function in the routing table. We're going to send it to that pipeline. We're matching on any event. So any event that comes in the system, I want to track where it's coming from and how often we see it, what the last time was that we saw. I'm saving it off into my Cribl Lake. You can save it off into anything you want. I'm using Cribl Lake. You could send it to an object store. You could send it to Grafana, however it is you want to work on that. And crucially, final is not checked. We don't want to interrupt the flow of data. We're just taking a copy of the data as it's flowing through the system, so it's percolating through the rest of my table. And now if we go back over to search, I can search dataset equals mymetrics, and let's limit that to 100 results. And let's go with 30 minutes ago. So you'll see now I've got data describing the number of events seen, the last time seen. If there was an original log type, it would be included in here. You can see that some of them have a log type. So some of my events are coming through without a log type. But we've got the information we need now. It's a very compact storage requirement. And we can search this much faster. So we can reach back, for a day, and that data is going to come back pretty darn fast because it doesn't have as much data to search through. However, we can take this to the next level, and let's use a pack. So if you go to the packs and add from dispensary and search for missing, I've got Cribl Missing Logs. You can see I've already got it installed. Let's see what the README says. It'll tell you how it's working and what you need to set it up. So everything's in here, including at the bottom that pipeline that I referenced early on. So I just copied this pipeline and pasted it into Stream. And really the pack is just a single dashboard. There is a macro definition that you need to pay attention to. So what is the name of the data set that you're storing these metrics in? It defaults to mymetrics, and that's what I used in Lake when I set up that data set. So this is, again, a little bit of a how-to for how to use it. Feel free to remove this panel once you start using it. We can change this time chart from host to log type if you'd rather. So I'm leaving it on host. And we're going to look back 24 hours, and we're looking at, these are the hosts that we're matching on. That's what that star there is going to capture, any host. So this is event count over time by host, and crucially down at the bottom, these are the important panels for me, is showing the most egregious delayed or missing hosts and log types. So the last time we saw this host was 203 seconds ago. That's actually not so bad, given there is some delay here because we're only aggregating the events once a minute. So there is going to be some delay inherent. But if you saw this at like 3,600 seconds an hour or 86,000 seconds, which would be a day, then you want to react to that probably. But this will give you an idea of the recency of your logs and what sort of the health of your logging system. So this is really a starting point. I'd love to see what you do with this if you add more panels or reports to it. But this should get you started. Thanks for your time. Have a nice day.